his father at CEO Space, Les Brown, who is an international speaker. John is 25 years old, and he's been speaking since he's 14. And when he was 14 years old, he made $2,500 an hour speaking. He's a motivational speaker and a hip-hop artist, and he is considered already a staple in the self-development industry. Being called upon to provide presentations and workshops for leading corporations and organizations, such as Amway Global, CEO Space, Urban Life, Boys and Girls Club, the National Youth Achievers, and activities for retarded children. He has also been afforded the opportunity to share stages with the greats such as the Dalai Lama, Richard Branson, and Bob Proctor. John Leslie is currently developing with the nonprofit organization AIM, founded by Leila Steinberg, a 20-year-old community organizer, an artist, and educator. So, John Leslie Brown, along with his sister Ona and their father Les, comprise the internationally acclaimed First Family of Motivation. So welcome, John Leslie.
Welcome, everyone. Just starting off, I want to say it is a pleasure to be in the city of San Diego with people that I don't know yet. So I know sometimes you don't even have to talk to a person or see their business card, but you know that you want to work with them. There's something about them, and it's probably the same thing that's in them is in you, and it draws you to them. And many times those same people will have some contacts and some resources that you need. So I watched that video about CEO Space, and I want to tell you all too, I am talking to you as a customer, as a person that in the beginning of last year I had never heard of CEO Space. Even though I grew up in the self-development industry and have been to some of the top workshops offered around the world because of who my father is, I had never heard of CEO Space. And I grew up in seminars and workshops as a kid, so you can understand how they're not my favorite thing. Okay, so I'm talking to you as a customer, and there's something that I think about the video, and I want to share this with you, all of you. Repeat after me. CEO Space.
CEO Space.
Isn't that good?
Isn't that good?
It's much, much better.
It's much, much better.
Look at the person on the right of you and the left. Say, CEO Space, isn't that good?
Not that good. It's much, much better.
If you've been to CEO Space and you agree with me, raise your hand. Trust me on this. CEO Space isn't that good. It looked nice. It's much, much better. Anybody in here ever been underestimated? Raise your hand. So here I am, and I know what it's like to be underestimated. I am the son of Les Brown, one of the top motivational speakers in the world, the only speaker alive to win an Emmy for a speech, from a speakers program, to win the highest award from Toastmasters and the National Speakers Association. A person that was labeled educably mentally retarded, did not know anything about investment capital, and made it in the 80s without the internet and social media. Without any proactive marketing, has sustained a brand in the self-development industry that will live even after I'm gone. So I've seen a lot. And what's so interesting is I was raised by my dad, and I learned more about speaking, about the speaking industry, more than most people know about it, even in a room with experts. There are certain things that I've seen in being in meetings and being in private conversations. When the new sales techniques came out in 97, 98, I was there as a kid. upset, disappointed, because it used to be about providing value for an audience from the front of the stage, but then the industry shifted to where now it's about getting you to buy the value that's in the back of the room. And so then I hear the people say to my dad, listen, you're giving them too much. He was speaking for a standing ovation. They were speaking for a running ovation. Running, people throwing their credit cards down. And I watched his transition have to adjust, not wanting to give the audience too much. And that hurt my feelings as a young adult. Why? And this is the first, some of you all came prepared because you know the capacity of the opportunity that you're presented with. But this is the first thing that I learned from my father, and I want to share this with you. He says, son, impact drives income. So the reason why you're in this room and why you're even qualified to come to a club meeting, it's not because we want to sign people up. It's because you're in a field where you're making impact, which qualifies you to be a part of something bigger than you can imagine unless you go. Raise your hand if you think you can network. If you think you're a good networker, come on, raise your hand. Everybody in this room feels like they're okay. I used to think I could network. I used to think I knew something about business. But you can meet one relationship. You can meet one person. You can go to one conference. You can read one book that changes everything forever. So I want to present an opportunity with you all. And I want everyone to say with power and conviction, I think that when you come to CEO Space, you'll be presented with the opportunity to share whatever it is that you do. You'll be able to share it with people that actually want to listen. How many of you all have children? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Have you ever tried to tell your kids something and you told them over and over and over and they didn't listen? Yes. Guess what? That's what it's like in business sometimes if people don't actually know what you're working with. And so I want everyone to say, because when you come to CEO Space and you're presenting your ideas, you've got to be able to communicate effectively. You can't shrink. See, when I was a kid, because I grew up in the self-development industry and I had a yes I can, yes I will attitude, I would go to school and try to pass that on to my friends and they looked at me like I was crazy. Oh, so what'd you do over the summer? Oh, well, I brought frames for the certificates that I knew that I was going to get this semester. But I know that you must be deliberate about your purpose. And so the founder of this organization, Bernie Dorman, who had the vision to start this, and I commend him for it. I met him in the office of the President of the United Nations. We were there with him, and they were pitching taking the super teaching methods into third world countries to help boost entrepreneurial activities all over the world. And I was there in this meeting with other people, and I was the dumbest guy in the room. Here's something that's important, that's a takeaway for you. If you're the smartest person in your group, get a new group. Sometimes when you're a born leader, when you're a successful entrepreneur, sometimes you become your own counsel. When people agree to do things and you're the only person that delivers. When you have a big vision for yourself and you were the one that actually stepped up to the plate, not watching the other people live their dreams. So I come to you as a customer, as a person that has seen a lot of things, but more importantly, I come to you as a person that has a dream. Not just has a dream, because a lot of people have a dream. Let me correct you. I am a person, I am living my dream. When a person is living their dream, they have very little to complain about. And they have a lot to give. And so I have a lot to give and nothing to complain about. So in a very short time, I'm going to give it everything I can. Is that okay? Is that all right for you?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone say, give what you can.
Give what you
See, a
can.
lot of people give what they can, but not everyone gives everything they can. It's the difference between seeing a homeless person, having $20 in your pocket, and saying, looking for change to give them, or just giving them the 20. And so Bernie Dorman is the type of person he sees the homeless person, he has $20 in his pocket, he says, no, hop on in the car, we're going to take you to the shelter, we're going to get you a job, we're going to get you dressed up, we're going to come back in next year and you can give that loan to somebody else. And so one of the things that's important, the reason why I'm here today because I am part of a legacy. I am here today because of 40 years of business experience paved the way, so I don't have to knock on doors and say, excuse me, can you read my bio? And you're part of a legacy. Bernie Dorman's father was Alan Dorman. He was the mentor for Napoleon Hill and Walt Disney. More people know Walt Disney than Napoleon Hill, right? Anybody heard of Walt Disney? Okay, thank you very much. Was he an important person? His business vision changed the world. I saw a person recently that was showing me pictures of that they were in Walt Disney over in Japan, over in all these places. They're doing business all around the world, and this is the type of organization where people that have visions on a napkin can come in with seeing their organization around the world, and by the time they leave, they have a vision team. They have more resources than they can imagine. They have something on paper, and they're ready to go. So anyone in here not familiar with Napoleon Hill? Raise your hand if you've never. Okay. Napoleon Hill was the person that started the self-development industry. The first person in the 20s and 30s. He was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, to go and to study with the most successful people in the world. He gave them access to relationships. Everyone say relationships.
Relationships.
You did not get here because you were driving and you heard about, oh, come check out CEO Space on the radio. No. You got here because you got relationships with some key people that care about you. And so Napoleon Hill, he was a person that was not wealthy. His father was not a wealthy man, but he married someone that was wealthy, and she gave him access to Mr. Carnegie, who, as many of us know, made a fortune off of the steel industry, to say the least. So while meeting Mr. Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, as a young man, he might have looked something like me back then, you know, and he said, hey, I'm looking for someone to develop the world's first success philosophy, to study the science of success. So you could go into these people's lives that most would never have access to, the people behind the scenes, learn what it is that they're doing and what they did to build their fortune from all walks of life, okay? And he put together a book on it. That book was entitled Think and Grow Rich. There's not a motivational speaker alive that has not read Think and Grow Rich. Because of that success philosophy that he put together, Gandhi read it, and it was very much a tool that he used in overcoming the British regime in India. But in addition to that, that became what sales forces implemented in order to boost the morale of their staff and to create more wealth than they could ever imagine. Bernie Dorman's dad was Napoleon Hill's mentor. Okay, let's stop. You know how young people and teenagers have slang. Right. Where I come from, he gets some props. You ever notice props in a movie? None of it's real, but it looks real. You know, and it counts. It tricks everyone into believing that there's actually something happening there. He gets some real props. The props that don't go away. And so in this success philosophy, the number one rule, and many of the people that are graduates of CEO Space that have read Think and Grow Rich know this. The number one rule that he said, the first principle that all of them had is what? Definiteness of purpose. Definiteness of purpose. So I'm going to, 2 people today are going to get an opportunity of a lifetime, just 2. Before this is over, 2 people, and both of these people, they'll for sure have definiteness of purpose. If you don't have that, then you're not really qualified. I'm sorry. Maybe come back to a couple more club meetings and then sign up. But in order to have that Walt Disney vision, okay, not Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney, okay, you have to have definiteness of purpose. So today, the topic that I wanted to say, I have definiteness of purpose with this speech. I am the example of what I'm talking about. I want everyone to say, and if you can write this down, if you're taking notes, say it with me first though, show up.
Show up.
Yes. Okay, we're going to build the energy in here a little more. Everyone say, show up.
Show up.
Yes. Imagine if you didn't show up here tonight. Raise your hand if it's been worth it already. Most people never get an opportunity to show up to something that can change their life. And if they do, they don't show up. So, last year, with my dad, I'm traveling. We've spoken at all the big events in town, okay? I hear him on the phone with my brother and sister, Calvin and Serena, the president and vice president of the company. Oh, it's this place called CEO Space. It's in Vegas. You've got to be there. It's life-changing. These people are going to do some major things, all right? Mm-hmm. Good. Now, guess what? He didn't tell me about it. He didn't say, hey, John Leslie, you need to come too. And the first thing, I'm a kid. Why would he tell them and not tell me? I knew they didn't even want to go. I knew they're not even that type to show up for something that could change their life. You know some people that you could tell them about this place. You don't need to go to CEO Space. You already know they need it. You can tell them about it, and no matter what, they won't go. You know any people like that? Okay? Yeah, they're in my own family, so I understand. Okay? And nothing against them, but see, this is what it's about showing up. The first thing is, when you write this down, seeds of hope. Seeds of hope. Why is it that people hear about something all the time that it's a great opportunity? Oh, you can build your income, you can grow and all this, and people don't show up. Why? Many people have lost that hope inside of them for more. Some people are tired of getting their behind kicked by life. They're tired of having a dream. They've seen that idea on a napkin their whole lives, and they don't think it could come off. And so they lose their seeds of hope. And then there are others of us who something that was sparked as a little kid, something that someone said to you 20 years ago that you've been trying to ignore, it won't let you go, it won't go away. Look at the person on the right and left and say, who's in this room? You saw the footage of all the people that were there, and it was looking pretty impressive from the pan view. But what would really blow you away is if you knew, not who's in that room, if you just knew who was in this room. If the minds in this room work together from this point on, how many of you all know that we could possibly, just with us, without knowing the people, you could build a business just with the people in this room? Okay, how many of you all know that there are some resources that might be for the business that you're already in, just in this room, that can make a big difference, just in this room? Guess what? You don't even know who's in here. And so you got seeds of hope that got you here today, hoping despite I heard about all this networking stuff. I'm so sick of it. I just worked the whole day. I don't want to go to anything else. Why did you come? You got seeds of hope. You think about it, seeds, they're so small and delicate and fragile. And you put this little seed down and it has to break through the dirt and the rocks. And for you, the dirt and the rocks might have been the market collapsing. For you, the dirt and the rocks might have been having to take care of a loved one that can no longer take care of themselves. For you, the dirt and the rocks might be someone that should have believed in you, that had the resources to help you, and that said, ha, 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 that's a dumb idea. Forget your passion. And so when I say I speak to you as a person that's living my dream, I say that because as 14, I was making $2,500 an hour as a speaker. How did that happen? Oh yeah, he just got booked because he's Les Brown's son. Ha, I wish. I am one of 9. When the Bible said be fruitful and multiply, my dad took it seriously. Okay? And at 10 years old, I gave my first speech. At 10 years old, but it wasn't a law office. It was not an important convention. At 10 years old, my first speech wasn't at CEO Space. The first speech that I ever gave was at my grandmother's funeral. On my 10-year-old birthday, my grandmother, Mrs. Mamie Brown, she passed away from breast cancer. Anyone in here ever lose someone that meant a lot to them? At the worst possible time. A couple days later, being a kid, learning how to be sad, because I had never been around it before. There was an opportunity during the funeral where they said if anyone wanted to get up and speak, they could. And there, when I was 10 years old, I gave my first speech. And afterwards, my dad looked at me and he said, son, you've got something special. You've got greatness within you. You will carry the torch to the next generation. I didn't start sharing that story until last year. But right then, that's when the seeds of hope were planted in me for the first time. Now, since then, learning all these positive quotes and all these great principles, since then, everything that could have happened to make these seeds of hope die has happened. People look at you and you're Les Brown's son, so they say, oh, he's got everything handed to him. Well, at 19, after being a successful entrepreneur for 5 years on my own, I said, hey, I noticed something. When I spoke in front of corporate audiences, they loved it. And even adults and executives will come up and ask me insightful questions and things that showed that they were really gaining something from the presentations. But when I went to go speak for youth groups, I could use that same material, and the youth, the kids, they're like, yeah, great, good job. It's no standing ovation. But if I did a poem at the end of my speech, and there was a question and answer section, the kids all say, oh, can you do a poem again? Can you do that same poem? I said, hold on. If this information is important for top CEOs and executives, imagine what you could do with, kid. But they couldn't hear me. And so I said this quote when I spoke. I said, if you could turn on the radio and learn how to be a thug, you should be able to turn on the radio and learn how to be a thinker. But then as my readings, I found out something, and sometimes you learn something that just hurts your feelings. You ever learn a little too much, you know? Well, I was reading, and then I came across something and said, it's one thing to complain, but it's another to correct. So what I was doing while I was going out speaking, enjoying this wealth, you know, I was complaining. But then I thought about it, talking about if you could turn on the radio and learn how to be a thug, you should be able to turn on the radio and learn about how to be a thinker. What if I could be the first motivational speaker with the #1 music video? What if I can be the first motivational speaker that can enter the entertainment industry and take pop culture into the self-development culture? What if I can be a positive artist, a positive rapper? What if I can change the way that people rap? What if I can put something in the headphones and these iPods that we see our kids wearing where they won't even know it, but they'll be changing their life? What if you could have your child listen to Bob Proctor without telling them it's Bob Proctor? What if you could have your child listen to Lisa Nichols without, just call it MC Lisa? You know what I'm saying? What if you could have this without telling them? So every day, instead of us going around and listening to our music in our iPods, we have a mission in our iPods. My mission was high hopes. Everyone say high hopes.
High hopes.
I think that you came here and you might have been dragged here, but I think that if you came here, you probably have high hopes. You probably not only have a dream, but you're ready to live your dream. You probably have seeds of hope. And see, what happens is, in order for that fragile little seed to break out and to actually bear fruit, it has to have some leverage. CEO space will give you leverage. CEO space will give you the type of leverage that has built wealth for generations. 50 years from now, my father, who's 65, won't be around. But guess what? His son will still be at CEO space. For 7 years, he didn't show up to CEO space. For 7 years, he thought it was the same thing. For 7 years. Aren't you happy you didn't wait 7 years to come here? Aren't you happy you get to take your business to the next level now? So what is it? It accelerates your business. What do you mean to accelerate your business? There's a story about this town, and you all might have heard it. They had these different crops growing, and there was a drought there. And so one of the kids one day, and thinking that they were helping their parents, they went out, and then when the family had dinner, they would say, "Oh, where's Timmy? Where did Timmy go?" So, "Oh, I don't know." Then he came rushing in, sat down at the table with a big smile on his face. They said, "Hold on, Timmy, where were you?" "Oh, I was making a surprise area. I went out and I pulled the little corn up just a little bit to help the growth of the crops. I just pulled them up just a little bit so they could grow faster." Guess what? He ruined the crop. Why? Because everything has to grow at its own pace. And so this time, maybe 2-3 years ago, when CEO Space was going, if someone would have given you an opportunity to watch the video, to come to the club meetings, maybe then you weren't in a place to receive that. But now you are here today. And you just so happen to be here when I'm here. It must be for a reason.
Yes, amen.
So we got seeds of hope. Everyone say seeds of hope.
Seeds of hope.
I'm sorry, I'm used to concerts where people say, "Ah," and it's so interesting. You could get people to yell out something ignorant easy. Everybody say, "Yeah, boy." There's 20,000 people, "Yeah, boy." We come in this environment where we have to have fun with ourselves, and we say, everyone say seeds of hope, and they say seeds of hope. No, everyone say seeds of hope. Seeds of hope. Yes, don't let them die. There's a person in this room that their mission is to help cure the disease of childhood obesity. I talk to them. I tell you, don't let that seed of hope die.
Yes.
There's a person in this room that actually has access to most boat owners in the whole state of California, and it wants nothing but to utilize that database to provide the best products for those people. And at the same time, she goes home and takes care of her mother, who might not even be able to say her name anymore. But she came here tonight. Why? She's got those seeds of hope. There's a person in this room where they just lost everything last year. Last year, it treated them so bad. It made them feel like they didn't have favor. It made them feel like maybe they were wrong. And they're just tired. But they came. They don't know why they came, but I know. It's their seeds of hope. The next thing is higher standards. Everyone say higher standards.
Higher standards.
Write that down. Yes, higher standards. Higher standards. It's not a seed of hope. No. No. That's why when you come to CEO Space, you get to have lunch with 200 CEOs from around the world. 200. 1, 2.